And it's gonna record um, your audio too.
Alright.
Yep.
Give it a shot.
Cool. I'll
Thank
see you
you.
later.
introduction really strict, you'll probably get it. Look back at our triple array from yesterday. All right, so we're gonna keep working on this, but like, let's just talk about it a little bit because I see most people are not doing very well at it. Is that safe to assume? Are we doing like this? Yeah, right. Okay. So let's talk. Let's think about this. So write a function that takes in an array and calculates the sum of all the numbers. So that's what it's going to do, right? So we know how to start, right? What's the first thing we need to do? We have to declare a function, right? Okay. And then it says specifically to use a for each function from yesterday. So if we see the for each function, it's right there. What does that function return? Does not return an array. I don't see the word return anywhere. Jay?
It executes the function on each element of the array, whatever function you
Right. And what does it return? What does the whole thing return? Which means it returns. Everything returns something. It just returns undefined. Right? If a function does not say return, it returns undefined. That's the default. Undefined is still something. Okay, so if we know that this returns undefined, then we, of course, inside of our sum function, can't write return my for each. I'm seeing people do this because that's what we did with my map. Earlier, yesterday, we did this. But my map returned what? That returned an array. My for each returns what? Okay, so of course, if we're trying to return the sum, we're not going to be returning undefined, right? So we definitely can't have that. That should help narrow it down. What does my for each do? What's this function actually doing? Isaiah. So for every element of the array, it calls the function and passes that element in. So we would use my for each for what? Calvin? To sum each element of the array, right? So if a function is not returning anything, in what way are we using that function? For a side effect. If this is a problem about sum, do we need another variable? Do we think we might want to figure out a way to update that variable? Okay, that's the hint. You do not need to write a for loop inside of your sum. Your for each is already doing a for loop. We can do it. All right, clap your hands once if you can hear my voice. Clap your hands twice if you can hear my voice. All right, let's talk about this. Yeah, this was kind of a tough one, right? Give me the thumb just so I can confirm with what I thought. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So what made this one hard? Let's figure that out first too. Shia.
Putting the y for each function into the sum.
Just putting the y for each function into the sum function. Yeah. Anything else that we found particularly difficult? All right. Yeah, Calvin. Cool. So this is updating that sum while it's in the loop. Totally. All right. So let's start. So we agreed that we could do like our sum pretty easily, right? And that this takes in an array as stated by the direction. It's a function. It says it's going to calculate a sum. So all the times up for now, how have we started the sum problem? What have we done? What was the create a new variable called sum. Okay, so it stays the same. We also know we're going to return a sum at the end, yeah? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just do that and then figure out what the guts are. It says we got to call my for each. Okay. Right? My for each takes in 2 arguments, yes? What's the first argument it takes in? An array, okay. Well, we only have one array. What's the second argument that it takes in? A callback, which is a function. Okay. So now we're going to figure out what the function is, right? Okay. That seems all right. So we know that inside of my for each, we're going to iterate through this array, which we're supplying it. And with every element in this array, we're going to call this function with an individual element of the array. Yes? So this callback that's going to go here expects how many arguments? Right? Callback takes in 1 argument. So this is that callback. So I'm going to go ahead and say it's taking in 1 argument. And that argument is the element of the array, right? Because this is an array at I. That gives us back the element. So this is going to be the element. Okay. And then with that element, what do I want to do with that element? What about sum? I hear just the word sum. What do I want to do? I want to add the sum, add the element to the current sum, yeah? Okay, so the dream line would probably be to do sum plus equals element, yes? That would be like the dream if it worked out, right? Well, your dreams are coming true. Because that's all we have to do. We can say console.log our sum, pass in an array of like 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Give us back 10. Oops. Run it. Freaks out. Probably because something else. Reference my for each is not defined. What's that talking about? What do you mean it's not defined? Oh, maybe because I probably referred to it somewhere else. That's probably true. Because we used to have an old one. Alright, so we'll zip back down, right? Because I'm building off of yesterday's, and I wanted my for each function to be lower down so everybody could see it. 10, yeah. Okay, so the dream came true. Questions on how that's working? Right, so this is really common. This is something you will use constantly. Like you'll want to use this instead of for loops almost all the time. Right? This is very much the same as our my map, which we'll do now. Okay, so remember this. Right? Do not forget how that's working. We're just passing in the array to my for each and the callback function that we want to have happen. Okay? So now, using the my map, which is right here, without looking at your notes, write a function that takes in an array and returns a new array with every element equal to 0. Use my map. Okay? Questions? All right, so it's the same concept. Let's try it again. What?
So like too many steps to the track, right? No, you get it. I'm more interested. Oh. I mean, just you gotta use that. Right? You gotta use more math to create an instance where you get all the elements that were already put in there. So let's say you have an array of 8 times down. You want to get back an array that's yeah. No, I'm just so I mean, if we want to make it creative about it. Oh yes, yes. Yeah, but yes, that's easily defined there. Yes.
Nowhere.
Call.
Yeah, I'm stuck on this.
You are good. Right?
Yeah.
Remember what was right. What are you how do you want to return that array? What?
Get some code here.
This one's like cool off.
Quick, look.
What is my method?
I got
You know, create a problem, right? So, I have a loop. I don't want to okay, you line that with mod. You may not,
Yes.
may not,
Yes.
you know, okay. So why would you underline? this one. Yeah, but the yes. Yes. Okay. I guess I want to leave you thinking. That's what I want to leave you thinking. You don't have to. I'll give you one suggestion. Think about what my this part. Zero. Yeah. Okay, so like are you saving it? Or are you just like making it happen?
Just because they're reading it.
Okay.
I mean, that would work too. Right? It should.
So you get it, right?
So can you explain to me one more time? You said, yeah,
Yes. Now, once they say hi, boring.
If I just say hi,
You got it. Different, bro. Yeah. on your way. And to my back,
Do it again. It's
Getting a function on that
you just put it down there. Look at that. Something just there. I'm not doing it. Okay, think about how to set the shape. Like you can do it without touching the top.
So it doesn't matter what I think this is. Yes.
So, just like the
Okay.
So you just have to say, wait.
Alright, that's what I'm saying.
Ooh!
Yeah, but no. Very much. Not very
Oh no, it fell asleep. I wonder if it's still recording. The what? I don't know. Are you saying soft? Oh. Well, I sounded like you were saying soul. Oh, the Saw movie? No, I don't think I've seen them actually. Yeah, are they good? No, they're no good?
I like it. But now that I'm coaching.
Alright, what? Almost identical, yeah. It was hard enough. But you wouldn't do that with my map. What? Alright, clap your hands once if you can hear my voice. Alright, so I'm going to go over this because I do want to step a couple solid hours and work on the thing from yesterday. I don't know if it's recording right now, so pay attention. Okay. But I will push the code, so like, how do we do on this? Yay, nay, okay. Hopefully better than the last one, yeah, looks like it. So that's good, right? Improvement is good. So let's follow directions and see how hard it is. So we'll start with like, what's the first thing we need to do? Declare a function. Pretty good, right? So we'll say const. We'll just call it like to 0. It takes an array. It's a function. Cool. So it says that it needs to return a new array with every element equal to 0. All right, so what? And also, so we have to use my map. So my map gives us what? So my map gives us a new array. All right. So then that's probably what I'm going to be returning. Yeah? Okay. Not so bad so far. My map takes 2 arguments. Yeah? First element is array. Do we have an array? Yeah, okay. So I guess that makes sense. What's the second thing it takes in? Yeah, callback function, yeah. So we don't have that yet, right? So we got to make that. Okay. So the callback function of my map expects what? How many arguments does that callback function expect? It expects 1, right? Which is actually going to be an element of the array. Okay, so this is going to be some element. Doesn't matter which. And this is a function. We know that. I can just even do that, right? And then what gets added? Like, how does the my map, how does it get its new values in its array? Where do those new values come from? What is this? Like when this, because it's eventually going to return this array, right? Which is going to be populated from this, yeah? And so what actually comes out of this? What? Brandon? Can you speak up? You always speak so quiet. The element at the index of the array? Sort of, but not quite. Right? This is going to take that element in the array and call the callback. And then, but what's it going to do with that information? Like, what happens next? Sam, you want to help me?
So you want to reassign the is that what you're asking?
Well, I'm asking, like, how does this my map, like, how does it get its values? Like, that go into the array, and, like, what are they?
Don't we console on those?
We're not console logging.
Like, isn't that what we're gonna put inside?
Well, it's already built in for us. Marvin, you want to give it a shot? But when you say modified version, like, what actually is that? But what about the callback function? Rafi, do you want to take a shot?
Yeah, all the numbers that come back from the social networks.
Right. So that's what we're trying to achieve. So what I'm looking for is it's actually giving back the return value, right? The callback function gets invoked and gives us back a return value. Yes? That return value is what is added into the array. Is there questions on that statement? Right? The callback function is going to get invoked. A function returns something. That return value is what's pushed into the result of it. Right? The return value. Yeah, sorry, I thought I wouldn't have put you on the spot.
I get it now.
Okay.
I just got it.
So we've got that return value. And so if that's the case and we want to turn all of the elements in our array to 0, what do we need to return inside of this callback? I don't know about times equal. I mean, that will set it to 0. But,
So since you need the return value, you want that value to be 0, then you just return 0.
all I need to do is return 0. Right? It could care less what it is because all I have to do is get that return value to be 0 so that I can add it into the new array. If I do that, it will work. So we can say console. I get that it's weird, so don't like feel bad if it feels hard. It should feel hard at this point, but that should drive you to make it feel easy. Yeah. So we do like step 4, and yeah, times equal 0 would work because anything times 0 is 0. Yeah. But it's just unnecessary. It's more than what we need to do. Right, and we get that 0, 0, 0, 0. Right, because for every element in the array, it's going to pass in an element, but it's not going to care at all, and it's going to return 0. Traditionally, if you're using a variable that you don't use, you just put an underscore in its place or before it. So the underscore record means like I'm not doing anything with this. Brandon. Yes, right? The callback function inside of my map has to return. I could, because I'm just returning the word 0, like I could do an implicit return like that, yeah? But you'll often see things like that. So I'm going to leave it, because this is very normal to see that. Right, this is also just like, this is the equivalent of writing another function that const like called return 0 that just takes in anything and says return 0. Right, I could just have done the same thing. Instead of all of this, I could have just wrote return 0. That also works. Right? It's the same thing. It's just whether I want to name the function or whether I just want to make an anonymous one and done kind of function. Yeah? Yeah.
But isn't that like hard coding?
No, none of this is hard coding. The returning of a 0, you mean?
Yeah.
Returning of a 0 is hard coding, but in the sense that this is only meant to return zeros. So that's fine. Bless you, Celine. I like to bless people when they cough. I know winter's coming and a lot of you will be coughing, so look out for the blesses. Any other questions? Yeah. Absolutely, it's impossible. How's that? Okay. Of course I can scroll up. Excellent question. Any other ones? All right, so I'll of course push this to our GitHub, and I guess so. There was one more thing I wanted to talk about, really briefly, which is just called default variable assignment. Not such a big deal, but I just want to like quickly brush over it. So our functions right now take in variables, yes? Yeah, right? Okay, that should be like definitely yes. So I could have a function that says, let's like say hello, and this takes in a name, yeah? Whoops, okay. And here it's just going to return like hello plus name, yeah? Nothing revolutionary here yet, right? I say hello, and I'm going to pass in the name Corey. And I'm going to run this, and it says say hello. It says hello Corey. No surprises yet, yeah? Great. Okay, so then if I duplicate this line, what happens if I forget to put an argument in? What do I get back? Hello just by itself? Hello undefined. So that's all right if I don't care about that, right? But you have some control here, which is, let's say, if somebody forgets to put something in there, I want something to happen anyway. So like, if somebody forgets to put Corey, I'm going to have it say Celine. So you say equals, and then what you would want it to default to in the event that nobody puts an argument in. Then when we run it, we'll get hello Corey, hello Celine. So if they put in that argument, that's what will take precedent. That's what will show. If they don't put in an argument, it will go to the default, which is just denoted by the assignment operator and then the value to which you're assigning it to. Questions on that? That's it. Like I'm not going too deep. No, just a cool stretch. Yeah, Doug. You don't always have to do that. No. Some things really are variable. It just depends on like if usually the user's interacting. If this is like if the user was interacting with it for some reason. If it's like your code or your API, right? Like it might be better to purposely throw an error and check like, hey, if there's not a name, right? Like if it's undefined, throw an error because that might be better than having a default. So it's definitely not standard to make everything have a default, just when needed. Any other questions? All right, awesome. So we'll get back together in our like pairing from yesterday and keep knocking out the callbacks. Get pumped up for Saturday. We're going to start doing some array methods, which is essentially the same thing that we did today, but with the built-in ones for each map. Just try to like really get good with the ones we built, because then the ones that are built in are even nicer. And then we'll just keep rock and rolling. Yeah? All right, let's do it.